What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you are ready to vent. This is a safe space. This is our Dallas Cowboys postgame show, of course, here at Blogging the Boys. You're watching live on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. Maybe you're watching after the fact. You can, of course, listen after the fact on the Blogging the Boys podcast network. We will have a robust lineup of shows available for you as soon as really about an hour from now. We'll get this show up, the postgame. We'll have our Dallas Cowboys Daily First and 10 hidden yardage. We have a lot to discuss, a lot to dissect. We have a bit of an autopsy to kind of go through. The Dallas Cowboys losing their season opener against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 19-3. And in fact, losing, I think, would be putting it kindly. The Dallas Cowboys were embarrassed. The Dallas Cowboys were humiliated. The Dallas Cowboys were completely and totally in over their heads. In fact, I think the best way to tell the story is to say that the Dallas Cowboys were exposed for the fraudulent way that they went about building this team over the offseason, for the arrogance that they displayed in saying that they did not have issues along the offensive line, that they were going to make do with what they had at wide receiver, for the ignorance that they displayed at their arrogance. It is unbelievable the way that Dallas Cowboys just kind of put this together with glue and scotch tape and twigs and said, hey, we're ready to kind of race this car in the Indy 500. It is unacceptable what the Dallas Cowboys have just given us. We are fans of this team. We support this team. We're going to watch them play against the Cincinnati Bengals next week, but the Dallas Cowboys are the only team in the NFC East that does not have a win. Every single team, the New York Giants got to win. The Philadelphia Eagles got to win. The Washington Commanders and their new name got to win, but the Dallas Cowboys failed to do so. And the Dallas Cowboys failed to do so, not against some mighty team. Yes, I know the Buccaneers are great. I know that Tom Brady, who is now a perfect 7-0 in his career against the Dallas Cowboys, I know that they are awesome and all this stuff. This Buccaneers team that we just watched on Sunday Night Football, this team was beatable. This team was there to be had. The Dallas Cowboys defense, for all the discussion that I have been a part of, saying that there's going to be regression to the mean coming for them, this Dallas Cowboys defense, I think, played well enough to win. This Dallas Cowboys defense put their team in positions to win, but this Dallas Cowboys offense was broken. This Dallas Cowboys offense was stagnant. This Dallas Cowboys offense was an embarrassment to the word offense. And yes, some of it falls on the shoulders of Dak Prescott. We'll see how he's doing, keeping a tab, by the way. Oh my gosh. Okay, we have to pivot, people. We have to pivot. We have a whole show planned for you. I've never had to do this. Let's see here. Dak Prescott needs surgery for his thumb, and he is going to be out a while. Let's get this up here. And oh my gosh, this is how the sausage gets made, people. Dak Prescott needs surgery for his thumb and will be out a while. Breaking news here on our Dallas Cowboys post-game show. The Dallas Cowboys are in quite the pickle. Let's get this tweet up and running here. Thankfully, I have a few different computers. This is about the worst possible news that we could have expected for the Dallas Cowboys. This is a disaster. This is the worst possible way that this night could have gone. Dak Prescott, the verbiage, I don't want to say this until I see it here 100% for certain. The verbiage seems to be from the local media that Dak Prescott broke his thumb. We are in a world of hell, people. This is not the way, let's see here. It's above the thumb and behind the joint, according to Jerry Jones, who, of course, is the person delivering this news to everybody on the heels of the Dallas Cowboys' embarrassing outing in the season opener. I got to get a tweet off. I'm on Twitter at RJ Ochoa. This is just, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you do here. This is tough. This is tough because, okay, we've got the tweets up. Everything's good to go. Scott says, let's get to your comments. Scott says, season over, not hyperbole. Look, we have a lot to get to. Right? We have stock up. Not really. There are a few stock ups to hand out. But we do have stock downs. We have a lot of stock downs, but our post-game show has now been taken over by the breaking news coming out of the Dallas Cowboys locker room following their 19-3 loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, the only hope that this team has. I know he didn't play well. I know you think that he sucks. I know you think that Dak was missing throws and whatever. You're misinformed. You're wrong. Believe me. You want to see this team without Dak Prescott? You think Cooper Rush is some savior? You think the Cowboys are prepared for this? The Cowboys are not prepared for life with Dak Prescott. What on earth leads you to the assumption that they are prepared for life without Dak Prescott. The Dallas Cowboys completely and totally blew it. They did. They had a situation here where they could have been competitive this season. And look, injuries happen, but you can mitigate them. You can plan for them. You can protect yourself for them. The Dallas Cowboys did none of that. And so they sent Dak Prescott out for, this baptism by fire against the Buccaneers. He was taking shot after shot after shot. It's no wonder that he hurt his thumb. Again, the thumb did not happen as a result of that. Jerry Jones, again, all of this is happening very fast if you're watching later or listening later. But Jerry Jones saying now that Dak Prescott is out several weeks. Jerry Jones's exact quote, "I'm not lying to any of you. We will have Cooper step up." Talking about Cooper Rush, not Amari Cooper. He'll get all the reps and we'll go from there. Why? Why is this happening? What did we do to people? We're good people. All right. Anthony Gonzalez says, when Brett Maher is the brightest part of your offense, boy, this is literally the worst possible thing that could have happened to the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know how to properly contextualize this. I really, I'm kind of in a haze, in a phase. That's kind of, what's going on here. Let me organize myself. I pride myself on being a professional blogger is where I'm at. Let's get to your comments. Romeo says, we're in trouble, plain and simple. Baba Yoga says 12-5, no playoff winner, 5-15, and a nice draft pick. Look, I'm not trying to overreact. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'm not trying to just be silly with you and be funny. The season is over. If Dak Prescott is out for a couple of weeks, this team was going to have trouble contending and winning 10 games based off of what we saw against the Buccaneers with him. He is, if we're fair to the idea, he's probably the third best player on the team, right? You got Micah Parsons, you got Zach Martin. So without Dak Prescott, I mean, you can kiss the idea of 10 wins goodbye. I don't know what a couple of weeks means, but the fact that Dak Prescott's going to have surgery, the fact that it's on his hand, I mean, really, really, this feels very 2008-ish with Tony Romo and all that stuff. I mean, this is a season from hell. Clay Baker says, we aren't prepared for any of the injuries tonight. Who else is hurt? McGovern. Connor McGovern. Jerry Jones saying this is kind of, also a thing. Connor McGovern has a high ankle sprain. So you've got Cooper Rush. The insinuation was that Jason Peters was going to take a little while to come along. We're talking about next Sunday, potentially a week from today, maybe less than if you're literal about that. A week from today, Cooper Rush facing the reigning AFC champions, who I know lost on Sunday, but put up one heck of a fight, facing the reigning AFC champions with an offensive line that features left to right Tyler Smith, Matt Farniok, Tyler Biotish, Zach Martin, and Terrence Steele, who got called for like 100 penalties in a 5-minute span. This is not a playoff situation here. We have literally gone to the bad place. F-Kit Crutch says, as usual, the offense lets the team down. Shocking. Look, this isn't about letting the offense down or anything like that. Great tweet from Kevin Turner, friend of the show. Says, don't know the specifics of the injury yet, but Russell Wilson hurt his thumb last season, and it was seen that he would miss 4 weeks and 6 to 8 at the worst. He missed 3 games. The Cowboys, again, we're going to have a hard time winning games with Dak Prescott. If we're optimistic and we say that Dak misses 3 games, if we go along the Russell Wilson timeline here, I mean, you're talking about being 1-3 in that stretch. Maybe Anthony says, well, I really started enjoying the draft show last year, Team Tank. This is hard to take. This is a difficult setup. I mean, this is bad. And I don't want to overreact. I don't want to, again, I'm not trying to be funny, but this was the worst team that played football in the NFL that we just saw. And that's not hyperbole. That's not silly. This is the worst team that we just saw for the most part with Dak Prescott, because again, he left the game, obviously. This was the worst team in the NFL throughout week 1. And if you don't believe me, consider that the Cowboys are the only team in the NFL, the only one. 30 teams have played an NFL game so far, and the Cowboys are the only one that did not score a touchdown. Now, obviously, we have Monday Night Football to go, so we'll see if the Denver Broncos and Seattle Seahawks score touchdowns respectively. But if each of them scores a touchdown, the Dallas Cowboys, mostly with Dak Prescott, will have been the only team in the NFL to not score a touchdown in the season opener. Now, look, I'm not saying there's all sorts of stock that comes from scoring touchdowns. That's not what defines how good a team is or whatever the case may be. But so we're talking about an offense that was broken, right? This was an offense that was outplayed, that was, that was awful. And so now you're down Dak Prescott. You're down a lot of other starters, right? This is a team now relative to last year that is going to be, for, at least for the time being, without Dak Prescott. That's your most important player on offense, obviously, your quarterback. Without Tyron Smith, who's hurt, obviously. We forget that, right? We're so like kind of numbed to by the pain that we're already at the point where Tyron Smith, his injury is like forgotten and it wasn't really a part of the season. No, you're down Dak Prescott, you're down Tyron Smith. You let Connor Williams walk in free agency. You cut Lyle Collins. You traded away Amari Cooper. You didn't bring Cedric Wilson back in free agency. That is 6 starters, and one of them is your quarterback. One of them's your left tackle. One of them's your starting wide receiver. Like, there are all sorts of problems that are existing with this team. Maybe you don't consider Cedric Wilson a starter, but you get my point. Like, this is a hard thing to make work. I mean, think about it. Their next 3 games are against the Bengals, the Giants, and the Commanders. And again, the Bengals lost, but those are 3 teams who looked better than the Cowboys this week. Alexander says play Micah Parsons at quarterback. Brian says Jimmy G is available. We'll see about that. The 49ers not exactly looking great with their quarterback's performance on Sunday. That's a joke. Captain Thunder says Dak was terrible, RJ. Stop making excuses. Captain Thunder, Dak Prescott was terrible. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to make an excuse for him. But first of all, he's hurt. Second of all, he is now not. You think Dak was terrible, Captain Thunder? I want to see the line. I want to see the line behind Captain Thunder that says, I want to see this Dallas Cowboys offense with Cooper Rush. Because if you're in this line, I know some people that are going to sell you some ice, all right, whatever that expression is, all right? If you really think that this offense is going to be better without Dak Prescott, you are fooling yourself. You are lying to yourself. You are just buying what the Joneses are telling you. There is no way that this is going to work. This is, again, the worst possible thing that could have happened. 77 SMD, thank you for the comment, says it was not Dak's fault. Totally, it wasn't. He played bad. This was a really bad Dak Prescott game before he got hurt. But you know what? What help does Dak Prescott have? I would love to know. I mean, what is, they're triple teaming CeeDee Lamb. Great. Let me thread this needle over and over and over again. Alexander, the Eagles fan, says, as an Eagles fan, I agree. Dak is terrible. Build the team around Cooper Rush. This is tough. Jerry Jones, tweet from Shireen Williams, friend of the show, says that Jerry confirmed. A lot of you were asking if Dak broke his thumb. This is Shireen's tweet. I'm sorry. I'm trying to read a billion things. Jerry Jones finally confirmed it is a fracture for Dak Prescott behind the thumb. So I'm sure in the next hour or so while we're here, we'll find out the exact specifics of the injury. Tweet from John Machota, friend of the show, The Athletic, says, after acknowledging how bad things went for the Cowboys tonight, Jerry Jones added, it's a long way to January. No, it's not, Jerry. Jerry, you built this team in this foolish way. And Jerry's going to go on the radio. I'm hang on, making sure nothing else is popping here. I'm always keeping eyes on twitter.com for you all. Jerry built this team, Jerry and Steven. And look, we don't do winners and losers anymore, but we do stock down Jerry, stock down Steven. The Joneses set this up. All right, they did. And I don't want to just come on here and be like a blogger that's coming around and saying the Joneses suck, sell the team, whatever. I root for Manchester United. All right, I get this all the time. But there was so much arrogance and ignorance encircling this team, swirling this around this team. Guys, y'all are freaking out. They had to trade Amari Cooper to create some salary cap space. He was making too much money on his contract. How were they supposed to know that the receiver market was going to blow up? Don't blame them for trading away Amari Cooper. Hey, Lyle Collins, he had a bad, kind of run of things. He was, into some stuff. We don't want that on this team. We're good. We'll pass on Lyle Collins. We don't need Connor Williams. He's got too many penalties. We're fine. Y'all are freaking out. You're just making a big deal about Tyron Smith getting hurt. We're just going to sign Jason Peters a week before the season starts and not even have him available to start. We're going to be totally fine. Y'all are just freaking out. Y'all just feed the drama. Do you think this is drama, or do you think this is the result of the actions? I said all off season long, and this isn't a pound my chest thing. I said that the Dallas Cowboys were like the little piggy who built their house out of twigs, all right? And they think that they are mighty because they are not the little piggy who built their house out of straw. But I tell you what, after watching all the NFL football that I did throughout week 1, they might actually be the little piggy who built their house out of straw. And what's crazy about it is their house wasn't even built out of brick last year. But the big bad wolf is here, and he is huffing and he is puffing and he is blowing all this down. This is a failure of a season from the Dallas Cowboys. And it's only week 2. We have like the dust hasn't even settled. All right, the staff hasn't even cleaned out AT&T Stadium yet, and we can already undeniably set this season up to be categorized as a failure. And you can miss me with this, oh, they're just setting it up for Sean Payton, blah, blah, blah. Why? I have never bought this story. Why do the Dallas Cowboys have to suck to be able to hire Sean Payton? They want to feel justified and they're firing Mike McCarthy? Fire him! I think that is silly to waste all of our time like this. There's no rule, there's no prerequisite that you have to suck so that you can feel good, you can sleep better about firing Mike McCarthy and pursue Sean Payton. Just do it. Just fast forward. Don't waste a year of our lives. Jerry Jones's quote here says, it's a long way until January. Do you know how much life we have to live between now and January? And to be very clear, I'm excited about it. We got pumpkin patch photos going on. We got Halloween. My wife and son and I, by the way, we're going to be the 3 Spider-Man from No Way Home. Super pumped about it. That's a different thing. We got Thanksgiving. We got Christmas. We got the time changing. I think the time still changes, right? We're still going to fall back one more time, right? Like as a country, I'm a little bit vague on that. We have so much life to live, and it's all wasted now because they pissed this season away out of pride and arrogance. Mike McCarthy at the podium moments ago, seemingly, talking about Dak Prescott, says it's a significant hand injury. We'll know more in the morning. I don't need to know more in the morning, Mike. I know right now that we are screwed. All right. We are screwed the way Michael Scott said. We are screwed. Mike McCarthy added, surgery's required. It's on his hand in the thumb area. It's a significant injury. Prescott has not seen a doctor yet. Well, okay. I think that is a big deal. Mike McCarthy added, this tweet coming to us from Michael Gelkin of the Dallas Morning News. McCarthy's quote, I knew it was serious. He couldn't hold the ball. Kind of seems important for a quarterback. Just my humble opinion, but I'm just a blogger. What would I know? This is the worst possible sequence of events. Look, I know there's some stock up things here. I'm going to try to get through, some level of organized thought here because we have a lot to get to. We have other podcasts that are going to be coming out. They'll address these things in more detail. My job here, I'm your puppet. All right. This is a live show. You control the strings. I will dance whatever direction you want me to dance. So send me in the direction you want in the comment section. But I do want to make sure that we credit the players who played well. Stock up Micah Parsons. Stock up Donovan Wilson. Stock up Brett Maher. Micah was a freak. Donovan Wilson got the interception that the Cowboys wasted. They got 2 yards of offense out of it. And Brett Maher made a field goal. So, I mean, the bar is low, but holy crap. All right. Connor McGovern in a walking boot, according to Calvin Watkins of the Dallas Morning News. This is bad. I mean, this is bad. King Trill says, this is exactly what I was afraid of. This offense sucks. Here's the thing. There would be huge reason to panic if Dak Prescott were healthy. All right, that there would be huge reason to panic if that were the case, but that this is the case. I mean, I don't know that panic is enough. I don't know. I don't have like a gong or a glass box to shatter, and I wouldn't because the baby's asleep. But I mean, how do you what is there to feel good about? How can you possibly? I would love to hear from the homers who told us that the Amari thing was about cap space and that Lyle Collins wasn't needed. I would love to hear from those people right now about why we should not panic. I would love to hear that. Anthony Gonzalez says, is CD a true number one? Drops and penalties tonight. The other receivers letting balls bounce off their hands too. Even the Nooch can't save us. Look, it was not a great day for CeeDee Lamb. I think that that's fair to say, but everybody sucked. But yeah, CeeDee Lamb, poor outing in his first opportunity as a number one receiver in that sense. But the dude's being triple teamed all over the place. The Buccaneers, this was so insulting, honestly, to the Cowboys and to the Noah Browns and Simi Fehokos. By the way, we haven't even touched on Jalen Tolbert. How are you going to tell us all offseason long, Cowboys, that you're good, that you don't need to sign Julio Jones, who had a nice game tonight, because you have Jalen Tolbert, and then have him be a healthy scratch? I mean, none of this makes sense. It is silly. I mean, it's really silly. There are people who run families in The Sims that are more organized than the way the Dallas Cowboys are with their professional football team. Farith, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, he says, RJ, it's all caps. RJ, to me, it seems like the receivers weren't the problem. How is it QB2 was able to spread the ball consistently in 2.5 minutes? But Dak, is this like a joke? Was trying to force it and make interceptions. I can tell you how, Farith, because Cooper Rush comes into the game when the Bucs are just, playing prevent and want to get home. They want to get on the plane and eat their meal and watch the new episode of House of the Dragon on their iPad while they fly back to Florida. That's how. This wasn't a serious defense that Cooper Rush was up against. And why is Dak Prescott forcing it? Because Dak Prescott has to be Superman. Because Dak Prescott was given Noah Brown and Simi Fehoko to throw to in this game. Because Dak Prescott has nothing to rely on offense. So, of course, Dak Prescott has to force it. Miss me with these kind of comments. Harbinder says ratings are great and the stadium was full. That's all that matters. I tell you what, I think we got to give some props as a collective here, all right? As a community that we are, we got to give some props to Chris Collinsworth, all right? Chris Collinsworth dragged the Dallas Cowboys, dragged their team building philosophy, called them out for not adding more help at the wide receiver position. Good for you, Chris Collinsworth. But I tell you what, at the end of this NFL week, when it comes to Tuesday morning or even tomorrow morning, we're going to hear, Cowboys Buccaneers Sunday Night Football was the NFL's highest rated season opener in 16 years or something like that. Boom, cash the check. Let's all head home. Christopher Lopez says the idea that Dak would lead this team to a Super Bowl run has ended. BTB, all your training camp optimistic articles. Christopher Lopez, if you want to dance on the grave of an injured Dak Prescott, you can get out of here. I don't like that kind of idea. I'm putting you in timeout. You are blasted. All right, let's move on. Lil Boats says, with Dak being injury prone, is it time to rebuild? I don't think you could say he's injury prone. I mean, the thumb thing is like the first kind of real injury. The ankle thing was this once in a lifetime, crazy fluke accident thing. I don't think he's injury prone. I think this is difficult. You know who I feel sorry for? Now that we're kind of figuring this out. I love this comment from Loco. Says, I'm done with this Dak experiment. Put Romo back in. I feel terrible for Mike McCarthy. All right. Now I know that that's not a popular thing. I know that people are ready to see the Cowboys move on from him. But first of all, I tell you what, the Cowboys are banking on this. All right. The Jerrys and the Stevens, they are banking on you taking that low-hanging fruit. Don't do it. Be a smarter fan than that. The Cowboys know they can set their watch by it, that people are going to say, oh, Dak sucks. Who cares if he broke his thumb? He's not great anyway. All he does is dink and dak. He can't even throw open a receiver in triple coverage. They're banking on you dragging the franchise quarterback. What's more is they're banking on you dragging Mike McCarthy. Mike sucks. He only won a Super Bowl because Aaron Rodgers, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to sit here and defend McCarthy the way I would sit here and defend Dak Prescott, but I do think he's a functional coach who is extremely limited by what this organization is doing to him, as we have seen evidenced by literally every single move that they have made over the course of, the last quarter century. But that being said, I feel very badly for Mike McCarthy. If we think about it, and I wrote about this recently, the team that Mike McCarthy took over looked nothing like this. I mean, the team that's going to play next week against the Cincinnati Bengals looked nothing like the one that Mike McCarthy oversaw when he had his first press conference at the Star in Frisco. When Mike McCarthy joked about not watching every single game or whatever it was, and everybody got all up in a tizzy about it, Travis Frederick was still the starting center on this team. He would go on to retire, obviously, but so much has changed. Mike McCarthy is going to have to be without Dak Prescott again for the second time in his not even 3-year-long coaching career with the Dallas Cowboys. McCarthy is I don't know that he's been set up for failure, but he has had a lot of things work against him. And in the moments where things have blown up, have gone awry, have fallen apart, the Cowboys, the people that he is supposed to work with, his co-conspirators, have done nothing to aid him. They have only watched and pointed and laughed when Mike McCarthy has been in a corner. Let's see here. David says, God bless, listening to you is like nails on a damn chalkboard. That's, really, really nice, David. I know I have a wonderful, beautiful voice. Johnny Boy says, can Will Grier provide enough playmaking ability to win games when Peters, Gallup, and Washington start to play? Probably not. But I would rather see Will Grier. This is no offense to Cooper Rush, but dude, we know who you are, Cooper, and we are going to hear nonstop. I can guarantee you, on the subject of setting your watch by things, when Jerry does his hit on Tuesday on the Fan, when Steven does his hit on the Fan this week, when Jerry does it on Friday, we are going to hear about how Cooper Rush went to Minnesota and got a win. We're going to hear that story so many times, you're going to be able to recite it in your sleep. All right. Who cares if Cooper Rush went to Minnesota last year and got a win? That was a one-time fluke thing. The Vikings were trapped by Mike Zimmer. All right. The Vikings are free. Look at them flying around now, the way they just thrashed the Green Bay Packers today. It was wonderful, beautiful to watch. The Vikings are my pick to win the Super Bowl, by the way. That's a real true story. But anyway, this is literally where, a tweet from Calvin Watkins. J-Ron Curse is on crutches as he leaves the locker room. we can officially say our pets' heads are falling off. This is DEFCON 1. I mean, this is the worst possible thing. I don't know how it could be worse. I really don't know. It is a very, 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 very difficult way to see how the Cowboys get out of this in not disgusting manner. Kevin says our offense wouldn't have scored a touchdown against the USFL team today. I agree with that. This was one of the worst looking Dallas Cowboys offenses I have seen in my lifetime. Miguel says the only good thing left on the season is going to be your post-game show because I always relate to your thoughts. Awesome show always, bro. Greetings from Monterrey, Mexico. Miguel, thank you so much for watching. Much love to the country of Mexico. I love you all. Appreciate you, my dude. Hope you have a great week, all things considered. Let's see here. Let's get to your comments more. Again, we've kind of abandoned the stock down thing because we are in this, this is the worst timeline. This is the upside down. This is whatever you want to call it. Johnny Boy says, yep, Cooper Rush and the number one offense beat the Vikings. Definitely not the same thing. Caleb says this team needs to sign another big name receiver. This is a pass heavy league. You have to have elite receivers to compete in any game. Caleb, I love you. I agree with you, but your words are falling on deaf ears here. Not with me, but with this team. They got to run the ball. They got to hand the ball off. They got to, Jason Garrett's telling us on the pregame, they got to quiet the crowd down. All right. They got to play old school smash mouth, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas football, Cowboys football. You want to know also, all right, I know it really grinds my gears a little bit here. All right. Kellen, all right, and he is a stock down here for me. Kellen, and we do have in our poll question, who do you blame the most, Jerry and Steven, Mike, Kellen, or Dak Prescott? If you vote for Dak, I'm upset with you, but hey, it's your right, it's your vote. Kellen, let me talk to you, buddy. All right. Now, look, I know you went to Boise State. I went to Texas A&M, so not a great time to be talking about college football for me. But, Kellen, just hand Tony the ball. Just hand him the ball. Just have Dak or Cooper or Will, just have him turn around, put the ball in the belly, put the ball between the 2-0. Just hand him the ball. Just hand Tony Pollard the ball. Quit making it complicated. We don't need you to have this razzle-dazzle triple option reverse pitch situation. We don't need you sending him in motion every single time. If you're just motioning him to motion, it's just a waste. It's just Tony exercising. That's all it is. It's just him getting cardio on the night. Just hand him the ball. This isn't hard. And you know what? There are a lot of people who I think would say, and this is a bit of a conspiracy theory. I don't have a tinfoil hat. I got to get one as a prop here. But a lot of people would say the Cowboys are doing this to sabotage Tony, to feed the idea, speaking of that, hey, look, we're getting designing touches for Tony Pollard. He's not doing anything with him, but Zeke's got, look at his yards per carry. All right. Zeke's on fire right now. We got to feed Zeke. Just hand him the ball. All right. Quit making this so complicated. We don't need this razzle dazzle all the time from Tony Pollard. What I need more than I need Tony Pollard being utilized that way? I need reboots of 90s sitcoms, and I don't want anything to do with those either. I don't need Fresh Prince or Saved by the Bell or Boy Meets World. I don't need any of them reincarnated straight to Netflix. No, I'll just leave my childhood alone. It's totally fine, and just hand Tony Pollard the ball. Quit making this complicated. Why are you doing this? Why can't you just let us love you, Cowboys? Why must you make this difficult? Johnny Boy says Zeke disappeared for a whole series. Part of that led to the broken thumb. I'm not going to put the thumb on Zeke. It kind of is what it is. Sean Sharif, the great Sean from 105.3 The Fan, just tweeted, I can't believe this is all happening after week one. This really feels like a cursed situation. Just once in 11 years, I wanted and needed a serious run. I don't know. I really don't know how this could be worse. I mean, we're talking about a situation where everything is bad. Everything, Lego had that song, everything is awesome. Everything is bad. Dalton Schultz, tweet from WFA's, Mike Leslie. Dalton Schultz speaking on the loss of Dak Prescott. It's a storm. It's a storm. He said it twice. I'm not, messing that up. It's a storm. It's a storm. You can turn and run from it, or you can face it head on. We're going to head straight into that MF. You can't turn and run from this. We're stuck. We live in this storm, Dalton Schultz. Don't tell me about that. You know the scene in Twister? I don't remember the actors in Twisters. That's my apologies. But at the very end, when the tornado is getting there and they take the belts and they like set them up on the like pipe or whatever to hold themselves there. That's who we are. we're just holding on for dear life. We can't run. If we could run, Dalton, we would run, but we can't run. We can't get out of here. We are stuck in this storm. It's not even a storm. It's an onslaught. It's a monsoon. It is a fiery volcano that has landed in our face. It is Sharknado. That's what this is. I mean, it really is the worst possible thing that could have actually happened. I mean, Dak Prescott, by the way, speaking on his thumb. This is a tweet from Patrick Walker of DallasCowboys.com, friend of the show. I thought it was a jammed finger, but I couldn't grip the ball. Got x-rays, and it was different. I was told it was much cleaner than it could have been. Well, thank goodness for that. All right. Thank goodness that it could have been worse. Alfred says, love the Twister reference. Again, I apologize to the actors in that movie. I don't know off the top of my head. Thank you. Aaron says, Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton. That's my bad. But shout out to Helen and Bill. Stock up for them. Dak continued. This is a tweet from Mike Ducey. To go, injuries happen. Very unfortunate. Going to miss some time with my team. I'm sure I'll. This tweet's flying too fast for me. I'm sure I'll come out of this thing better. It gives me an opportunity to move forward and control the things I can. Let me be very clear here. All right. I love Dak. I love Dak so much. I know a lot of you love Dak. We all love Dak. QB1, awesome. But enough. I mean, like we don't need this positive spin. And like I'm not saying that Dak should say anything else. Like this, of course, what's he going to say? Like he's going to have to say these things. But enough. Like we're sick, and I think that I speak for all of us in saying we are sick of the fluff. We are sick of the spin. We are sick of the lipstick on the pig. This is bad. All right. And the team's inability and unwillingness to identify that it's bad is kind of why it's so bad. I want to get to the super chat. Gregory Campbell says, tough loss tonight, but I'm sure coach will rally the troops and have the guys ready to play and win next game. Just got a few loose ends to tie up. Gregory, thank you for the super chat. I don't think you can say that. Loco says, I'm sick of the lies. I mean, that's kind of where we're at here. Like Jerry Jones said at the beginning of training camp that one of his greatest flaws is that he doesn't identify the pitfalls that he makes, the kind of mistakes that he makes in life. And that's one way to live, certainly, but you could argue it's a irresponsible way to live. You could argue that it is a way to live that is partly born out of luxury and privilege, right? Like not everybody has the luxury to say, I don't want to identify my failures. I choose not to acknowledge or admit my failures. I don't need to do that, right? That's kind of a privileged standpoint. And recently, last week on 105 Through the Fan, Jerry Jones had the quote that made the rounds. That he has to live in a world where 1 + 1 = 3. Again, that's kind of coming from a place of privilege, and that's what people say about the Cowboys, right? They don't worry about their positioning within the team because they own the team. Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones don't have to worry about being fired, whatever the case may be. And obviously, we all know that Jerry Jones doesn't believe that from a mathematical standpoint that 1 + 1 = 3. But what Jerry's point was that I understood, that I think everybody was kind of on the same page with, was that he's trying to be as optimistic as possible. He's trying to get 3 out of 1 and 1, right? Like if you can somehow, when you put your money in the vending machine and sometimes 2 bags of chips come out, you got, that's kind of just 1 = 2. But, that kind of thing. And Jerry's trying to make a deal. Jerry's trying to get one and win one instead of just living in a world where you pay 25 cents. I don't go to vending machines, but whatever. You pay a quarter and you get the bag of chips, and that's transitive property or sort of normal transaction. That's the world that everybody lives in, Dallas Cowboys. That's the world that you are not acknowledging. And your reluctance, your defiance towards acknowledging that world is why you are in this boat. It's the reason why you thought that a wide receiver group of CeeDee Lamb, who's great, Noah Brown, Simi Fehoko, Dennis Houston in his first ever game as an undrafted free agent would work. It's the same reason why you thought that, I think Tyler Smith played well, right? Honestly, but it's the same reason you thought we'll just put Matt Farniok in there, right? Because, hey, he's a guard, right? We need a guard. Let's put Matt Farniok in there. Boom. 1 + 1 = 3. No, sometimes 1 + 1 = 2. Actually, all of the time, 1 + 1 = 2. Very, very, very rarely does 1 + 1 = 3 in the metaphorical way that we're talking about here. And if you are not living and operating with those as the rules of engagement, you are ruining and distorting the reality for all of those around you. So to sit here and say like, hey, it's going to be fine, we're going to be good, I'm just going to miss a couple of games, we're going to rally around, we're going to come together, we're going to smash some watermelons and rub the monkey butt stuff, we're going to do all that stuff, and it's going to be good because we're a football team, we get together. No, what's going to happen here is you're going to be in over your head and you're going to get destroyed the way you did by the Buccaneers. It is delusion. It is truly Delusion. Scotty Zach says, is CD really great? I think he can be. I think we haven't seen it because I don't think he's necessarily had the opportunity to be great. And that's tough. But Dak saying now about the thumb, it's not the the worst thing that has happened to me. It's just a bump in the road, and I will keep moving forward. So the offense is not hitting the panic button after one poor performance. Dak, you guys may not be hitting the panic button. This is the button. I am smashing the button. All right. I am all the way in. I am jumping up and down on the button. I mean, like Humpty Dumpty style. I don't care if I fall over and crack my head. All right. The button has to be pushed. Sometimes 1 + 1 = 2, and the 1 and 1 mean you press the panic button. The fact that this button has, like, the button is doesn't exist for the Cowboys. The button has cobwebs around it, and like nobody knows if it even works anymore, if the lights come on when they press it. You have to press the button. If you do not press the button, you are living in a false world, one kind of privilege from the Cowboys perspective. It is unfair to us, but fine, maybe you don't care about us, but it's unfair to the Cowboys organization as a whole to not hit the panic button. And again, I understand the people that are going to say, what do you expect Dak to say? He's got to kind of tout the company line. I'm with you. I understand that. But if internally the Cowboys are not saying, you know what, we kind of screwed this up. Like that would be a problem. And you know what? That would piss me off, and that would piss all of you off. But if the Cowboys came out and said, if Jerry Jones went on the fan on Tuesday morning and say, you know what, we kind of saw that going differently. And it didn't. And so now we have to think about it. You know what? That's really stupid that you got yourself here. But the first step is admittance, and you've at least admitted it to yourself. That's what has to happen. The Cowboys, what bet have they made that has worked out? I would like to know. I'm actually asking. All right. By the way, Big Red TLC. Maybe this is the answer. It's just great photo of this. I think this is a dog. It's hard for me to tell. I'm really sorry. It says stock up. Tyler Smith, 1 or 2 penalties, decent in pass blocking. Totally agreed. I'm open for answers. Totally open for answers. Would love anybody's thoughts. Whatever. What bet have the Cowboys made this offseason that worked? Right? Like if we, like all of us together, there's 1,000 of us here. By the way, guys, that's really touching. But there's 1,000 of us here. So if we sat on one side of the table, Tracy, if you speak ill, you are going to get put in timeout. This is a family show. All right. You got to be cool. There's kids in the car that watch and listen, things like that. But if we sat on one side of the table and the Cowboys sat on one side of the table, we sat here like this and said, okay. What'd you do that you feel worked out? Like what decision, guess, educated guess did you make that you feel like actually worked, that you feel like you were right about? Scott says, Maher. That might be the one. That might be the one. That they would sit here and say they'd Brett Maher, and I'd sit here and say, you son of a, and then, it would cut because it's a family show, right? You got me. All right, Brett Maher, respect. But I have a list. Amari Cooper, Lyle Collins, fine, move on from them. So be it. Water under the bridge. But you can't move on from them and not replace them. You can't move on from Amari Cooper and then just sign an undrafted free agent in Dennis Houston and think it's all going to work out. You can't do that. Now, Nick says signing the Eagles retired lineman. I don't think this is a fair answer. I don't think this is a bet working out. They didn't sign him till the month of September. They play in the NFL. You can't tell me that is not something that worked out for them. Otis, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. There's 2 T's kind of throwing me off. It might be Otis, but apologies. Otis Jenkins. The organization as a whole has no sense of urgency. It is just the same old, we'll get better next time. Totally agreed. 100%. They are purely a reactionary team. Nothing. They are the Michael Scott of NFL teams. You sit there and say, man, I love these dudes, but like, I really don't know why. Like this, at least Michael Scott had like a pure and noble heart, right? And a noble cause, right? Like, what do the Cowboys have? They just hurt us over and over and over again. Bill says, how can anyone that watched that game say the offensive line was anything but offensive? Offensive would be putting it nicely. Dr. D-Face says, what quarterback and wide receiver are available and ready to play? Well, I tell you what, Dr. D-Face, The Cowboys are going to tell us that the receivers on their team, they really like what they have in Dennis Houston. They really like what they have in Simi Fehoko. And, they know that they made Jalen Tolbert a healthy scratch, but they really like him. And they think he's got a bright future with this team. So there's no real reason to panic. They're good. They're fine. And hey, did you see Kevontae Turpin? Did you see that Kevontae Turpin? We signed. We're really excited about Kevontae Turpin. We're really pumped to not use him at all in the season opener. Miss me with this again. I recognize I'm kind of yelling and I'm upset. I'm going to verify this because this is like right after the game. But I believe that Kevontae Turpin did not have a single offensive touch. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong while I double check this here. But Kevontae Turpin obviously was involved in the return game. Kevontae Turpin did not have a single rush attempt. He did not have a single target in the passing game. But there were a lot of people in my mentions who told me, hey, why are you freaking out about the receiver position? They have Kevontae Turpin. All right. Yeah. They didn't sign him until training camp started, but they found a diamond. They gave him number 9. All right. They believe in Kevontae Turpin. So don't worry. Don't freak out. Stop talking about Amari Cooper and the trade. Quit living in yesterday's world. We have Kevontae Turpin. 0 touches. Goose egg, people. What on earth? How can you sit here and tell us with a straight face that you're going to do that and that you then don't? And that's why, again, I'm not trying to say like I called it because I hate that. I really don't want to be that guy. But I mean, there were all these people who were like, just watch. He's going to get a lot, and Tony Pollard. Now, and my entire argument the last few weeks since Kevontae Turpin kind of like took the world over was I will believe the Kevontae Turpin thing when I see it. And I actually said on one of our roundtables here, Blog of the Boys, that I would have been upset if Kevontae Turpin ate into Tony Pollard's touches. You can use them both. You can use them both and Zeke Elliott. 0 touches. 0 touches for Kevontae Turpin, who the Dallas Cowboys spent all sorts of time talking about, saying that he was going to be a weapon for them offensively. They didn't score a touchdown. Their offense was awful, and they couldn't find one touch to manufacture for Kevontae Turpin. And again, I'm kind of going just off of memory here, off of watching the game on the broadcast, because again, this is a live postgame show. I can't even, and somebody correct me if you remember, I can't even remember a play where Kevontae Turpin was on the field. Right? Like how can you say that and not be the case? By the way, Miguel says my wedding 2 weeks ago was Cowboys themed, and our first dance as an official couple was a lost, but we will keep believing on our love as much as we believe in the Cowboys. Miguel, happy wedding. Congratulations to you. Hope you and your loved one have a wonderful life together. Brandon, sorry, Steven, says while we're belted down to the pipe. Oh, the Twister reference. Well done. I'm curious who you think is the galvanizing voice of leadership in the locker room. We have one thing left. All right. Dak Prescott's gone. All right. It's Micah Parsons. That's it. That's the thing. It's Micah Parsons. It has to be. By the way, Stephen, thank you for the super chat. Micah Parsons is the one thing. He is the rope or the leather belt in the movie. It's leather, right? I haven't seen it in a long time. But he is the leather belt who is tying us to the pipe. That's all we have. We have Micah Parsons. We have Micah. He saved us at 2 different points tonight. I mean, that's like being oddly specific, but still, Micah is the answer. Maybe he can rally the troops. He's a defensive player. It's an offensive game. The Cowboys don't seem to understand that because their whole philosophy this year was let's make the defense and the run game great because it's 1993 all over again. No. But the answer is Micah Parsons. He has to be on offense. I mean, Zeke. Right? Like if you need a leader on offense, it has to be Zeke. I mean, it has from a seniority standpoint, CeeDee's a little young. It'd be awesome to see CeeDee, but CeeDee from what we've seen over the last 2 years isn't really like a rah guy. I also feel for CeeDee. CeeDee hasn't really had Dak, for this part of his career, and that's a frustrating thing. So I think it's Micah Parsons. I think it's the names I think of are on the defensive side of the ball. The loud, boisterous kind of center of the huddle leaders, Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Leighton Vander Esch. You could throw quieter leaders like Zeke, like Trayvon Diggs, like Dalton Schultz into that fold. But man, it's tough. Joe, thank you for the comment. Says it's disappointing that this game's offensive play scheme was no different from last year. We weren't perfect. Why was there no improvement? Joe, I tell you why. Because why did it need to be different, right? Why did it need to be different? Because the Cowboys won 12 games last year. I mean, they were a weird call away from maybe winning a playoff game against the 49ers. Why mess with something that wasn't broken, Joe? That's, something I've said for years. I've been doing this long enough now that I can reference things I said a long time ago, which makes me feel old. Something I said in 2015, 7 years ago, was that the way the Cowboys built that team, the 2015 team, which started off basically on the same note that this one did, unfortunately. But they built that team in 2015 like they could go pick up where Dez caught it, right? Like that's the way the Cowboys acted. That's the way the Cowboys, built that team in 2015, was as if they could go right back. They could fast forward and just start at Lambeau Field right near the goal line where Dez heroically caught it, pick up, finish that game, and head to the NFC title game in Seattle. That's the way they built that team. And that is a falsehood. That is 1 + 1 = 3. That is not 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 1 = 2 in this case is saying, damn, we were so close last year. We were so close. We had a lot of things that worked, but that was last year. And this is a new year, and we have to climb the mountain again. We have to start at the first floor. We don't get to start at the 38th floor because we want to, because we were good last year. No, everybody is on the first floor. You know who identifies team building philosophies like that? The Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills, it had what happened to the Bills last year happen to the Cowboys, we would have seen even less changes, even fewer changes this offseason. Had the Cowboys been in that position, the Cowboys would have said, dude, we lost by like a freak 13-second miracle. All right. Like, we're good. All right. We're totally fine. We were basically in the AFC title game. Like, why are y'all freaking out? Like, we're fine. We don't need to touch this. We're totally good. You know what the Bills said? The Bills said, to hell with that. The Bills said, we got to start it at the first floor, and we're going to bring help. We're going to go get Von Miller because we're going to make sure we never lose by 13 seconds ever again. And the Cowboys do not have that. They do not have the proverbial X-ray funny meme dog in them. They do not. They think that they can do this. They think that they do this correctly. They think that they have a grasp on this. This has been written and said by many people. They believe that they are a world-class organization and that they're doing things the right way. When the reality of the situation is, sure, totally, the history of your franchise is exemplary. You are one of the more renowned cornerstone Tiffany brand franchises in the NFL. Nobody will deny that objectively. But over the last quarter century, in the era of the internet, since social media has been a thing, since we started making Fast and Furious movies, you are one of the bottom tier teams in the NFL. And you do not understand this basic principle. You continue to hope and believe that 1 + 1 is going to = 3, when in every single case, every solar system, every planet, even Pluto, if it still is or isn't one, I don't understand that whole thing. On every single one of them, whatever degree gravity measures in their atmosphere, 1 + 1 = 2. There is not a world where 1 + 1 = 3. And if you live in that, you end up in this situation. Some of these things are unpredictable. Nobody can foresee that Dak Prescott's going to get hurt and have his thumb damaged and injured, whatever. But look, something we haven't even talked about through the Dak thing, because, if you haven't noticed, we're the dog and like, this is fine, except we're not saying this is fine. We're saying this is terrible. But our hopes, because look, we're going to watch, we're going to assign our emotional, happiness to this. We're all going to talk ourselves throughout the course of this week, myself chief among all of you, that the Cowboys have a chance. Bengals look kind of bad. I mean, they lost him, Mitchell Trubisky, right? Like, I mean, how bad could it be? We're going to talk ourselves into that. I'm going to come up with some sort of tweet as to why the Cowboys are destined to win this game on Sunday afternoon against the Cincinnati Bengals. But you know what? They probably won't, because does anybody believe in Cooper Rush? Anybody here? Anybody in the class? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Miguel got married 2 weeks ago, but now we're at the altar. I would like any of you here in the congregation to speak now. Taylor Swift album, fantastic one. If you believe that Cooper Rush can lead the Dallas Cowboys to a 500 record while he is quarterback. We don't know how long that's going to be right now. We're still kind of waiting, whether it's 4 games, 5 games, 6 games, whatever the case may be. Does anybody believe that? Now, Quentin Taylor with the party line here. This is the Dallas Cowboys party line. 1-0 and starts. This means nothing. This is 1 + 1 = 3. Everybody says no. It's me, saving all of us time. Chuck says yes. Copper can. I would like to meet Copper Rush. The answer is no. So it's not fair to say no. The answer is probably not. But you know why it's probably not? You know why we all feel so strongly? You know why? If you look at the chat, if you look at the comment section, there's like 100 people who just said no, hell no, heck no, whatever derivative of that is because we've seen Cooper Rush, right? We're not like being mean. We're not being unfair. We're not being irrational. We're not being dramatic. It's because we've seen Cooper Rush. We know that that's not the answer. This is the conversation that we had over the last month while the preseason was unfolding. Now, should you put a lot of stock into who your backup quarterback is? No, but you should give it some serious and legitimate consideration because you never know when you're going to have to depend on that position. And what did the Dallas Cowboys do? They 1 + 1 = 3. That's a hard way to say that, but they treated the situation that way. Cooper's fine. He'll be good. Dak never gets hurt. Yeah, he had the one injury in 2020, but who cares? Let Cooper be on the practice squad and we'll promote him 3 times before we get him on the actual roster and give him a locker, right? We'll be good. No, this was another thing where they were lackadaisical about it. Another thing where they were chill. Another thing where they operated as if everything was going to go their way because they wanted it to, which is a foolish way to do this. Cooper Rush is not a serious investment at the backup quarterback spot. And now you're in a situation where you have to rely on him. You have to, right? Like the season started. The season is here. The season started. Tracy, I gave you a chance. I put you in timeout. Now I'm going to block you outright. All right, Tracy, hope you have a great week. Cooper Rush is not a serious plan. And if you're telling yourself that Cooper Rush is a serious plan, well, hey, 1 + 1 = 3. Joe mom username we'll be cool with again because of the fact that kids watch and listen. Says, why not start Greer? Because Cooper's their guy. That's why. I don't have a good answer for that, but because Cooper is their guy. It's tough. It is tough to see a way out. It's tough. It's really, really tough. Dr. Gonzo says Rodgers couldn't beat the Vikings. Rush did. Rush will be MVP if he plays the whole season. Very, very nice. Ruben says you are right. Jerry believes he has the right formula, but they never do. Cooper Rush will take us nowhere. No. And you know what's going to happen? We're going to be sitting here next week on our live postgame show because we do them after every game. And Cooper will have had a moment or two. He'll have had a nice touchdown. He'll throw the first touchdown of the season. I'll sit here and say, you know what? Cooper could beat the Giants, right? Like we'll talk ourselves into that, right? We'll reason. We'll start to barter, right? Like what are the 5 stages of grief or whatever it is? Because that's what we do, right? Because we have to make 1 + 1 = 2, right? So we have to take the one that is Cooper. We have to take the one that is the opponent, and we have to make 2 out of it. Cowboys don't. Cowboys are like, you guys only making 2. We got 3. It is a very, very dark day for the Dallas Cowboys. I would venture to say this is the darkest day for the Cowboys through the prism of football. The darkest day for the Cowboys in the Mike McCarthy era. I mean, this has got to be the worst day that Mike McCarthy's been the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know that anything comes close. Maybe, Dak's injury, but at that point, there was still we had already kind of accepted that the season was over even with Dak. But Jeff says, epic rant. I feel like this is RJ's villain origin story. All it takes is one bad day to reduce the sanest man alive to lunacy. No, I like the part of the hero, if I'm being honest. But Colin says, from 40 years of experience as a Cowboys fan, at least they did us a kindness by getting it out of the way early this year. Look, this is a game, right? This is football, and it's partly for our entertainment. But as Justine says, this feels pretty rock bottom. The reason it feels that way, and again, we'll all wake up and, the sun will rise. Other cliches, we'll make our coffee. You'll eat the blueberry muffin. Put it in the microwave, by the way. 7 seconds is good. You don't want it too hot. And life will go on. And the Cowboys will play another game, and they'll play 15 more after that. And we'll have some good times, right? We'll have some good times. We'll laugh, and we'll high five, and, we'll take pictures, and you'll probably get a Cowboy shirt or cap at some point in time, right? Maybe not, whatever. But the reason this is so devastating, I think, is because we care, right? Like that's why we're here, right? Like it's 11:30 Central Time on a Sunday night, and we're 1,000 people gathered here together, not in the name of holy matrimony for Miguel's wedding, but we're gathered here because we care. We are gathered here because on some level, the Dallas Cowboys influence our life. We love this team. That's not a hyperbole or exaggeration or dramatic reading or anything like that. We love this team. We want to see this team have success. There are parts of this team that we believe can be successful. But there are parts, and look, let's be straight. Let's call it, let's just be straight up about it. All right. We're not brilliant, right? We're not NFL general managers, right? That's like a tweet I get a lot is like, hey, like, well, why don't you do it with your team? I'm not qualified to be an NFL general manager. I'm a blogger. I got a YouTube channel here at Blogging the Boys. We got a podcast network. I fire off some tweets. I've been working on the Instagram stories as of late. I've even been dabbling into the TikTok. Those are my qualifications, all right? I am not a genius by any means. However, even I, and even all of you, and I say that with kindness, we were all able to identify the falsehood that was. We all saw this for the mirage that the Cowboys tried to convince us was real. We all saw the forest through the trees. All right. We all knew that it was a bad idea to take, this group the way that it was put together and do this. There's not one person here, and there are 1,000 of us who thinks or thought that this was the right way to go about it. So what does that say? Does it say that they're the worst team in the NFL? They might be. Does it say that they're incapable of doing their jobs properly? They might be. Does it say that, the season is doomed? It probably is. But I tell you what, I can't wait for next Sunday. I can't wait. I can't wait to pretend and lie to myself and say it's going to be all right. I can't wait to start CeeDee Lamb in my fantasy league. I can't wait to see what the line is and see if I'm going to take the Cowboys depending on how big of underdogs they are. I can't wait. I'm a sicko. I love this. We all love it, and we're all going to love it together. But just because we love it doesn't mean that we can't be real. Doesn't mean that we can't be honest. Doesn't mean that we can't call them out for their crap and how they tried to sell it to us over and over and over again. All right. Calvin, by the way, says don't start CeeDee. I'm in a good spot. Don't worry. I got some depth, but I mean, it might be out of a loyalty sort of situation. We'll see. I'm defending champs. I got to think about a lot of things. There's legacy involved and stuff like that. Micah Parsons just tweeted, there's legit nothing to be mad about. It's football. Crack blocks happen. Y'all are so funny. I guess people are upset about this. I actually missed this. Again, there was a lot happening, to be fair. But man, I don't know where we go from here. I really don't. It feels lots of you saying Bryce Young season. I get it. I saw the Bryce Young comments. All right, let's have this conversation. All right. And I recognize that this is kicking a hornet's nest here with some of the commenters and the mood that they are in. If the Cowboys were to trade for somebody, who's the person? Who's the person that we want them to trade for? Lots of you saying Jimmy Garoppolo. So go with a non-Jimmy Garoppolo answer. Who is the person? As I have to respond to this Slack message. All right. Comments. Wow, came back to a lot of comments. Jimmy G, Minshew Mania. Gardner Minshew. That's a good, I like that. Let's see. Joe Flacco. That's not a bad answer. By the way, Jorge says, I've seen RJ stress over this team, and tonight's performance shaved years off of his life. It wasn't even really the performance, but it was, it was definitely tough. Drew Lock, Quentin says, I don't think that works, but that's not a bad idea. Cowboy Station says the Panthers quarterback, Sam Darnold, maybe. By the way, some Eagles fans here. Eagles fans hanging out. Look, whatever. I agree that the Gardner Minshew trade is not going to happen. It's worth mentioning out loud, just because it should be said that 7 years ago, that 2015 season, Monica Geller, whatever, the Cowboys did trade. The Cowboys had Brandon Whedon on their roster at the time. They also had a young quarterback named Kellen Moore, and they traded for Matt Castle. So they did go after an established veteran. However, that was a little bit different because they were trying to pick back up where where Dez caught it. They really thought they were this contender. They really thought they were close. They really thought that they just needed to kind of survive until Tony Romo got healthy. They also traded for Bryce Butler that year. So I don't know that they believe. I will say, if they do nothing, it will kind of feel like they're waving the white flag. It really will. MJB says Jordan Love. It's not I've heard worse ideas. Marcus Arnold says, let's stop the Pollard stuff. He's another Troy Hambrick. We never take backup quarterback seriously. I agree with that. Got lucky with Dak. Pull Fitz Magic out of retirement. I don't think Fitzpatrick's doing that. If we're thinking, if I look around at my helmet collection to try to figure this out, again, that's why you treat this seriously, but the Dallas Cowboys did not. Colt McCoy? I'm just throwing out names. I'm like, Colt McCoy? Yeah. Look, we are screwed. All right. We don't have a lot of options. I don't know. I really don't know. This was a really, really awful night. Oh, McCoy's hurt. Thank you for reminding me, Calvin. Look, I'm hurt. All right. I'm emotionally damaged. This is... You know what I'm already annoyed about? I'm pre-annoyed about. Kenneth, by the way, says Andy Dalton. I would love that, honestly. I really would. And Sean added Dalton, by the way, in the comment section as well. I would love that. I really would. But this is a team that historically does not fare well with backup quarterbacks. Yes, Dak Prescott came in and saved them. But generally speaking, this is a team, and to be fair, they actually had some success with backup quarterbacks in 2020 when Dak was hurt with Andy Dalton. They had the Ben DiNucci game, and obviously, who could forget? Who could forget that entire season and all the chaos that unfolded? But I really don't know what you do here. Your backup quarterback's your backup quarterback because you think that they can be the person. You think they can be the guy. And I don't know that, I don't know that you can talk yourself into that. And what's more, to the Jimmy Garoppolo thing, I don't think that that's a good idea because I don't think he's a great player. But if you trade for Jimmy Garoppolo and then Dak gets back and then he's not, well, it's a funk. It's a funk that I want nothing to do with. It's tough. It's tough. This was, if we had sat together a few hours ago and we had said, what's the worst possible way this can go? Right? Like we had kind of like laid it out that way. This would kind of be number one. Like this would maybe have been the worst possible way that this night could have gone. Lots of L's for the Dallas Cowboys tonight against the Buccaneers, and I would say 95% of them were preventable, or at least predictable. And maybe not all preventable, but definitely a large percentage of them, they could have at least given themselves a chance. And that's what's frustrating. I think we're all frustrated for the CeeDee Lambs and the Micah Parsonses and DeMarcus Lawrences and Zach Martins. The Tyron Smiths. Father Time is undefeated and all the cliches. Like the Cowboys are on the verge of going, past the careers of so many great players with nothing to show for it. And they are on the verge of being on one of the worst teams in the NFL here this season. Ricardo says, I feel awful. Hey, Ricardo, I feel awful too. But tomorrow, we'll try to take a step forward. My name, in case you're curious, is RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa. If you want to see the takes, you can follow me on TikTok at rj.ochoa. If you want to send me an email, if that's more your thing, you can. rj.ochoa@sbnation.com is how you do that. You can also obviously always leave a comment here on the video, on the stream, on the channel, whatever the case may be. We'll get to those also. The Dallas Cowboys are 0-1. And we'll see. Good question to end on. Jorge says, do you think that the return of Washington and Gallup will improve things significantly? I think they might improve things moderately, but significantly, no. And I think that we have to start looking at a place on the season, on the schedule, and we'll do this throughout the week, and we'll obviously keep you covered all throughout the Blog on the Boys universe. I think especially once we have Jalen Tolbert, by the way, tweeting out, time will tell, as it always does. We have to, once we understand the time frame associated with Dak's injury, and we can really kind of, understand exactly how long he's probably going to be out, I think at that point in time, we can start to kind of barter a little bit more. We can say, okay, and I'm making this up, but Dak's coming back week 6, Gallup's coming back week 3, Washington's coming back week 5. We can try to figure out exactly how you have to, how to make lemonade out of this situation. So let's make some lemonade. Thanks so much, all of you, for hanging out. I know it's late. It means a lot. We all love this team. We're all sad. We're all bummed. We're all pissed off. But the fact that we experienced that together is still pretty cool in my humble opinion. But I love you all with all my heart. And I hope you all have a great evening and a great night and a great morning. And I hope the next thing that you eat, I hope the first bite is the greatest bite of food you've ever had in your life. I really do. That's what I want more than anything in the world, because you deserve that, my friend. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We will see you next time. And go Cowboys.